We're going to go over what are the 3 things you should never do if your shoulder hurts. Most of you who have shoulder pain have no idea how it got there. You didn't have an accident, you didn't have a fall, you just started having shoulder pain. And over time, the shoulder pain got worse. Maybe the pain started every day, maybe the pain started every month. Maybe the pain, you woke up one day and it was just throbbing and you couldn't handle it anymore. So there are several different ways that people arrive at shoulder pain. You are not alone if you have no idea how it got there. So we're going to go over the 3 things you should never do if you have shoulder pain. So the first one is, and it's going to be completely counterintuitive, but you should not ever stop using it. Do not. The first thing everybody wants to do when they have any kind of pain is rest it. That seems to be the one thing that people come in here all the time and say, I rested it, and I kept resting it. The problem is that unless you had a fall, resting isn't going to do any good. It might calm down the inflammation for a little bit. Some of you may have had the experience where you took 2 weeks off, you took 4 weeks off, you stopped using it for 4 weeks, went back, to using it, used it overhead, felt great, and then all of a sudden you literally couldn't lift your arm over the head. Happens a lot with knees and running. You'll have a pain and you'll rest it and you won't run for 2 weeks, 4 weeks. You'll go out, you'll run 2, 3 times, it'll feel great. You had the answer. All of a sudden you get to the race, you literally cannot run. Same thing with your shoulder. You should never rest it if it feels painful. Why is this? You're going to create more problems for yourself if you wind up resting it. So what happens is when you have shoulder pain, and regardless of why it's there, and just because you have shoulder pain doesn't mean it's the same reason that your neighbor has shoulder pain. You have shoulder pain for a specific reason, but regardless of why you have shoulder pain, if there's pain, there's inflammation. So there's some sort of inflammation going on in your shoulder. So when you rest it, it's going to allow that inflammation to calm down, which is great. However, you're going to start to lose some of your range of motion. You're going to start to lose your strength. These are much more important than inflammation. So what you want to do is if you have shoulder pain and you have problems lifting overhead, you don't want to lift overhead with a 25-pound weight and just keep jamming it up there. That's not going to help anything. When I say don't stop using it, if you find that you have pain lifting overhead, you want to watch yourself in the mirror and you want to gently move your arm up and down overhead. You want to watch for any compensation patterns. This is where people get themselves in the most trouble. This is why people spend months in my office instead of weeks or days, is because they have learned that as they lift overhead, they're going to start to raise their shoulder, and that's going to help them lift overhead. Or they're going to kind of lift overhead and then shift forward and then raise and continue to raise overhead. Not okay. That's a compensation pattern. The worst thing is that if you don't do this in front of the mirror, you're going to have no idea you're doing this because your body just does it naturally. You tell your body, get my arm overhead, it's going to, whether it does this, whether it rotates, whether it does something. Now, if you do this in front of the mirror and you do it nice and slow, you're going to find a painful point. You're going to keep going nice and easy and nice and easy. If you can't do this in front of a mirror, you need to be in a PT office. You need to be seeking help, okay? If this is something, if you get here and you're like, there's no way I can move it past here, this is something that you can no longer manage at home. This is something that you need to be in here getting treated. If this is something that you can do, even though it hurts, keep doing it. And you want to keep doing it controlled, and you want to keep doing it in front of the mirror, nice and easy. You obviously don't want to put a weight in this hand and start jamming it overhead if that hurts. But doing this motion, whatever motion hurts, making sure you're doing it correctly is imperative to your shoulder healing. Otherwise, it's going to heal incorrectly, and you're going to be in here for more than just the original shoulder injury. Second thing you don't want to do when your shoulder hurts is you do not want to have bad posture. I know. Everyone rolls their eyes at me, and they're like, I know, I know. I don't even have to finish this sentence in my office. People are like, I get it, I know, I need to have better posture. No, you don't get it because you don't do it, okay? Now, what do I mean by better posture? I don't mean jamming your shoulders all the way back, because that's the first thing people do when I tell them you need to have better posture. They jam their shoulders back and they stand in attention. That's completely wrong in the opposite direction. When I say have good posture, you're going to roll your shoulders up, back, and drop them down. While you're watching this video, do me a favor, try and push your shoulders down towards the ground. I guarantee you, most of you will feel some movement in your shoulders. That is poor posture. Most of us hold our shoulders somewhere up here because we're so stressed out, our muscles have compensated, the reasons go on and on and on, but you wind up with your shoulders like this. And then when you say push your shoulders down, they wind up going down 5 feet. Very few of you are going to say push your shoulders down, and they're going to be pushed down. Now, if you're sitting in a slouched position, they're obviously not going to go anywhere because there's nowhere to go. They're already in their lowest position. But if you're sitting up nice and straight and you tell your body to push your shoulders down, you're going to find that most often they're going to lower. So here's bad posture. It's not sitting necessarily slumped over in a chair because that's low back posture. I'm talking about shoulder posture. I'm talking about neck posture. So walking around like this, not okay. It's going to cut the blood supply off to your shoulder. So all that inflammation is just going to keep festering because nothing's being flushed in. The more positive movement you can give your shoulder, the more positive blood you can get flowing in there, the more that inflammation is going to be flushed out. But if you're like this, you're starving that shoulder of good blood flow coming in. Here's the other kicker about bad posture. It's not going to change in one day. So when you do this and you roll your shoulders up, back, and you drop them down, which puts you automatically in good posture in your upper body, it's going to take you 1,000 times a day to do this. It will not be okay, I did it this hour, and then I did it this hour. A lot of you will find, and we do this experiment in my office all the time, that when you roll your shoulders up, back, and you drop them down, and I mean literally up, back, and drop, not up, back, and plaster them back, up, back, drop them down. Most of the times I'll get out maybe 5 words after that's happened, and I'll say, check your shoulders again. And the patient's like, uh-oh, they're already back up. You have trained your muscles where to be, which is not in the correct spot. And if you've had shoulder pain for months, years, weeks, your shoulders are high. Okay, they're not in the right position because your body has just done everything to protect you from the shoulder pain. So if you find yourself with your shoulders elevated as you do this exercise, and when you say push your shoulders down, it's literally going to take you retraining yourself over and over and over again during the day for weeks on end because you didn't get here like this in a day. This didn't happen overnight. So just be aware that when we talk about bad posture, we're talking about shoulder posture, and we're talking about being able to resolve it, but it's going to take time. So you need to, every day, set your reminder, set your watch, set whatever you have. Something's going to buzz at you. Set it so that way you're able to make sure that your shoulders are down. Final thing you should never do if you have shoulder pain. You should never sleep on the shoulder. So if you have bad shoulder pain, or you have a shoulder that's just blossoming into pain or uncomfortable every once in a while, you don't want to be laying on that shoulder. Again, you're restricting the blood flow. You have 6, 8, 4, whatever sleep you get at night. That's recovery time for your body. The last thing you want to do is lay on this shoulder that needs a lot of blood and compress the structures and have you ball up and do whatever you're doing during the middle of the night. You want to lay on the other shoulder and you want to hug a pillow. It's going to open everything up and allow blood to go in there, flushing out that garbage that's in there, causing you pain. You want to lay on your back when you go to sleep, or you're going to lay on your side. Stay off your stomach. That's a whole other video entirely. But the best way to sleep if you have shoulder pain is on your back or on the opposite side that the shoulder hurts. And I say hug a pillow because if you don't, your shoulder's going to fall this way, or your shoulder's going to fall this way. And then you're going to be like, Heather, it really throbbed all night. How many people have ever woken up who have shoulder pain with a throbbing shoulder? It's because the blood flow has been diminished. Whatever you're doing in your sleep, if you're sleeping right on it, you've diminished the blood flow enough, you're going to get that throbbing pain. So if you have shoulder pain, you do not want to sleep on that side. So those are the 3 things that you need to avoid when you have shoulder pain. Otherwise, you will make it worse. Now, I have a shoulder pain book that I'm willing to share with you. It'll go over how to test for shoulder pain at home, anatomy of the shoulder, different exercises besides the ones I showed you that you can do. I'm willing to share it with you. If you are interested, just go ahead and click the link in this presentation, and you can give me your information, and then we will make sure to get it right off to you. Otherwise, obey the 3 rules of shoulder pain do not.